Hey guys, I hope that you're all doing exceptionally well. Um, it's the it's the middle of the night for me. I woke up at like 2 something in the morning, and I just realized, okay, it's just gonna be one of those times when I just have to surrender to this energy and make a video in the middle of the night. Yeah, it like it wouldn't leave me alone. It's like we're making a YouTube video, we're not going back to bed. I just kind of wanted to talk about what I've been going through, which is, yeah, just clearing a lot of ancestral trauma, especially the feeling of shame, the sensation of shame. And thanks to everyone in the Patreon community who had kind words for me yesterday. It was really sweet to read all of your guys' messages. But yeah, shame is one of the more difficult energies to work with somatically, meaning it's one of the most difficult to meet and to transmute. And that's because it's literally like the heaviest of them all. I can even feel some of it still like hanging around in my field right now. So when I feel shame coming up, I know it sounds weird, but I tend to, like, however it's triggered. Shame can be triggered up. It can just arise in our experience kind of out of nowhere. Typically, it's triggered up when we feel bad, and it doesn't even have to be on a conscious level. It's like a lot of us have been programmed, unfortunately, on unconscious levels when we were children that we're bad, that we're wrong, you know? And so these kind of programs can be triggered up, just kind of, this is how life works. Life is always trying to liberate us from what's not true. It's trying to liberate us from these beliefs that got ingrained in us, you know, you could say in childhood trauma and past lives, whatever. And so usually your shame's going to be triggered up in a situation where it's going to be hard for you not to believe that you're bad or that you did something wrong. And it's going to be hard for you to believe that because the energy of shame is like, can be so all-consuming. You can really drown in shame. And so when shame comes up, it's going to be it's going to be just kind of so big in your consciousness that if you don't have a lot of experience working with it and kind of identifying it and knowing, okay, this is shame, if you don't have a lot of experience with it, it's going to be one that you're just almost going to get identified with, and you're going to just feel like you're drowning. And this is the one that leads to so many, like this energy is the one that leads to so many addictive patterns. I mean, it leads to people taking their own life. I mean, that's what just this toxic shame does. It's so heavy. It's the thing that comes up that we all were like, holy fuck, I don't know how to be with this. And so that's the first thing to know is it's going to be really hard for you not to believe the shame. It's going to be really hard when the shame's coming up to not actually believe that you're bad. You know, because everything in you is going to be feeling that way. Because it's old, though. It's like life's triggering up these old feelings of I'm bad, I'm wrong. These old memories, you know, of like maybe you had a need and the people around you were just in so much pain they couldn't meet it, and your needs became a problem and something that you started to feel ashamed of. Or maybe you had certain feelings and emotions that people around you didn't have the space for because they were going through so much trauma. It's not like their fault, it's just like they were going through so much, you know? And so you might feel shame for even having certain emotions. You might actually feel like a problem, right? Like asking for support could be a big one that triggers shame for you. Because, you know, you might have memories of that when you asked for support in the past, people shamed you for it because they just didn't have the space for it, and so they made your needs a problem, etc. You kind of get how it works. So it's like these parts are going to come up, and they're going to be a lot for you to not become re-identified with. And that's just important to know. Like, shame is such a hard one to not get entangled with. So when it's just important to know, okay, shame's coming up, to realize like the deeper truth, like, I'm not bad. You're not bad. Even if you make mistakes, we all make mistakes. We're all human. My spiritual teachers make mistakes, the greats have all made mistakes. So that's a part of life, making mistakes. But toxic shame doesn't necessarily have to be a part of life. And it's like, we don't ever have to believe that we're bad. Ever. Ever fucking ever. Getting chills. You never have to believe that you're bad or that you're a mistake or something. Like at your core, you know what I mean? Like, we can always be like, yeah, I kind of dropped the ball there or whatever. But you're not a mistake. You're not bad. That's the first thing to know. Is like to know that in your core, that you are innately good. You are innately good, regardless of what the shame energy is telling you, or the old patterns in your like cellular structure and DNA is telling you. Your ancestral trauma might be coming through, telling you that you're a piece of shit, you're awful, you're the worst person ever. All fucking lies. They're all lies. None of that's true. That's the first thing to know. It's like when shame's coming through, we don't believe it. We just don't believe it at all. Even if shame's always gonna make whatever tiny little thing we did, and you probably didn't even make a mistake. You might have just done something so innocent, but the shame is going to make it seem like so amplified, like you did the worst thing ever. And it's just important to know, like, that's what shame does, and that's where we typically drown, and that's where we typically go to addictive behaviors, because to feel those feelings of I'm bad is so hard. It's so hard for our nervous system. It's such a deep trauma when those feelings of I'm bad start resurfacing. So that's the thing to know, is the most powerful thing to know is like, we never believe that we're bad consciously. We never go into belief with that. Like, it's going to be so hard not to, but that's how we start really kind of coming out of getting disentangled from all the shame energy, right? But on the other side of this, like, life is going to pull these programs up for you to consciously witness. And it's like, in that moment, do I really want to believe that I'm bad? Like, maybe you ask for support, or maybe you made a small mistake, you know what I mean? Or you forgot something, or whatever it is. It's like, do we really want to believe that we're bad? Do we want to go down that road again consciously? And, I always see, when shame comes up for me, now that I've been working with it for as long as I've been working with it, and I understand it on deeper levels, I always see it as a gift. Because I've gotten more rooted in this place of, I know I'm innately good. I know I'm always trying my best. I know I'm just always coming from, the best place I can. Like, we all are. Literally, we all are. We're always doing our best from our level of awareness, right? We're all innately good. We're all divine beings. And because I know I'm innately good and that I'm a divine being, when shame comes up, I'm grateful of it, because I realize, okay, more of these programs of I'm bad, more of this dense, heavy energy is leaving my energy field. It's being discharged. And thank God for that. Because when the shame leaves, we're more free to be who we are. It's like we have more space in our energy field for creativity. We have more space to give. We have more space to receive. How many of us have huge blockages when it comes to receiving due to shame? Because we feel ashamed to receive. We don't feel worthy to receive, right? Because it's been ingrained in us that we're not worthy through our experiences, especially in our formative years from ages 0 to 7. And so I know a lot of you who follow this channel have this kind of toxic shame. And I know for a lot of you, it's really hard to not get just pulled in by it and drowned by it when it comes up. So I wanted to make this video for you, just because it was, I went through a huge shame storm yesterday. It was one of the biggest ones I went through in a long time. And so while it's fresh and real in my consciousness, I wanted to share. You know what it did? It just reminded me of like how big shame can be. And I know when you're first going through it, that shame, it's just like you just want to run into whatever. You're in so much pain. That pain of I'm bad, I'm a mistake, I should just die. Like you literally have that kind of pain of like, you just don't want to be here anymore. You just like want to crawl into a hole and hide forever, right? Shame elicits that kind of pain. And I know when that kind of pain comes up, it's just, oh my God, it's so excruciating to be with. And so hopefully this video can help you just take a little bit more of a step of into not believing it when it comes up, into knowing your own innate goodness. That's the key. The key isn't to fight with the shame. This is good. The shame's coming up. The shame's coming up to be released. Those programs of I'm bad, the programs of unworthiness, they're coming up to be released. This is a really good thing. The important thing is just to root into this place of, I'm a divine being. I'm just trying my best. And so, yeah, and I was even having this experience of being drowned by it a bit yesterday, and it's been a long time since I've been that drowned by shame. I don't know if it's like a long time, but it definitely, those times when you're drowning in something, it can definitely help you kind of expand your capacity to be with it over time. Sometimes when we're drowning, that's actually an orchestration of the divine, because it's like we're drowning in something and it's not clear what are we drowning in, and it kind of forces us to do all kinds of self-inquiry, like what is this, what am I believing right now? And then after a while of drowning in it, you start to kind of get your bearings, and then you realize like, okay, the shame is not bigger than me. You realize that you are actually bigger than the shame. Chills there. It's like your loving awareness is actually much bigger than the shame. But for a while, it seems almost like we have to kind of drown in it, and we kind of go through and suffer the illusion, because it kind of feels this way initially. We suffer this illusion that the shame is bigger than we are. But when you're with it long enough, and when you do your best to stay in your power when it's up, meaning you don't run from it, you don't go into distraction the best you can, and if you have to, you do it lovingly. You don't judge yourself and bring up more shame. You don't make yourself wrong for going into addiction when shame comes up, because that's just going to perpetuate more of it. You just say, fuck, I'm doing the best I can. This is just too much shame right now. I gotta go watch this movie, or I just have to go, maybe for you it's smoke a cigarette. I just have to do this thing. And if you notice you have to do that for yourself, you do it with love. You don't judge yourself there. You know what I mean? This is all about unraveling from shame, not creating more. But hopefully after some time, you're able to stay in your power with it, even when you're drowning. And what that does is it helps you recognize like, oh, I'm bigger than this shame. My loving awareness is bigger than this shame. And so that can be a hard thing to realize. It takes time. That's the other thing. Be super, super fucking patient with yourself when working with shame, because it's really intense, especially if you have a lot of toxic shame. And we don't need to go blaming people. We don't need to go doing any of that. It's just ancestral stuff. It's old stuff. But if there's something in your system that wants to move anger, and you need to blame someone for a while, you can do that in like a conscious way. And I'll make another video about that, or you can maybe write me and ask me more about how to do that. And I don't want this video to get too long. But this is just really about letting the shame move out of your body, and not getting identified with it, and recognizing that you are innately good. That's the most important thing to know when shame is up. That should almost be like a new habit for you, for all of us. When shame starts coming up, no matter what's happened, you just recognize your innate divinity, your innate goodness in that moment. It's like, how beautiful would that be if when shame came up, it's a trigger for us to recognize how good we are. Yeah, and I think I wanted to say more about the alchemy process of shame. But maybe I'll save that for a different video. This one's getting kind of long. It's in the middle of the night. I'm having to sort of whisper because there's people around. I don't want to wake them up. All right, sending you guys so much love. I hope that this video brings you some inspiration when your own shame comes up, to, you know, to know that it's a good thing, that it's releasing from your body, and at least this helps you kind of be seen on the level of like, yeah, it's super hard not to believe shame. It's so hard. I get it. You know, but over time you can learn to not believe it more and more, and then it just starts transmuting faster and faster through your system, and you get more and more free, and it's a really beautiful process. But yeah, I've got a really good video coming out on Patreon today, and actually just lots of great videos because the Patreon members have been asking me really great questions, so I'm going to be creating lots of content in response to their questions. So if you guys are interested in some more content and more community, yeah, I really think you'll enjoy the Patreon platform and the offerings that I have over there. Just been pouring so much love into that space, and yeah, it's a great way to support this work too. So if that resonates, check out the link. I'll put it in the comments, and yeah, really hope to see you over there. So much love. Namaste.